Order. It is Tuesday, April 2nd. This is a full meeting of the Holyoke City Council, and we're here in City Council chambers at 7 p.m., 7:05, and the clerk will call the roll.
Anderson Burgos?
Here.
Bartley?
Here.
Devine?
Here.
Givner?
Here.
Graney?
Here.
Jordan?
Here.
McGrath Smith?
Here.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Here.
Ocasio?
Here.
Israel Rivera?
Here.
Jenny Rivera?
Here.
Sullivan?
Here.
Bacon?
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
And God bless the city of Holyoke.
And the City Council.
Before we get started, we do have two counselors who are Zooming in this evening, so I would entertain a motion to take a roll call vote that for the purposes of this meeting would be applicable to all motions to receive, to refer items to committee, remove items from the table, place items on the table, package items together, comply with items, or suspend the rules unless there is an objection. Motion has been made and seconded. All those, the clerk will call the roll.
Devine?
Yes.
Givner?
Yes.
Graney?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
McGrath Smith?
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Ocasio?
Yes.
Israel Rivera?
Yes.
Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Thank you. Counselor Devine was called first this evening, so she picked her own name.
Again.
First, before we have a proclamation to give this evening, but Counselor Graney?
Yeah, I'd just like to offer a moment of silence for Elroy Barber, who is a longtime Holyoke resident and the brother of former mayor and city councilor Elaine Pluta. He's done a lot of service for the city of Holyoke and has volunteered at the senior center for the last 8 years. He's a wonderful man, and I just like to offer a moment of silence for him.
Thank you. Thank you. Counselor Bartley?
Yeah, I too would like to offer a moment of silence for my good friend David Keith, who was just a lifelong Holyoker, but more to the point, he was formerly served on the Board of Aldermen.
Thank you. Thank you. Counselor Devine?
While we're on it, I'd like to offer a moment of silence for Kelly Curran's dad, who passed away.
Thank you. Thank you. We're thinking of Kelly. But turning things over this evening, I would entertain a motion to take late file B.
Second.
Out of order.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Counselor Devine? Let me just read it. I don't know where it is.
What is
Totally fine. They actually all landed on themselves, so could be worse. Thank you, Jeffrey. I would have gotten that. So filed by Counselor Devine, late file ordered that a proclamation be presented to Don Welsh for his 21 years of dedicated service and advocacy as a member of the Commission on Disabilities. Counselor Devine?
I don't know if Councilor Welch or former Councilor Welch is going to be here, so you might just want to read it. And I know that other people in the audience have something to say about Don as well. Can you get that?
Thank you.
If you would read that, Madam.
Sure, absolutely. So we have two proclamations up here, one from the Holyoke City Council, penned by our calligrapher, Counselor Devine, and one from State Representative Patricia Duffy's office, honoring Don Welsh and extending congratulations to Don in recognition of serving 21 years of dedicated advocacy and service as a member of the Commission on Disabilities. Don is not here, but we are grateful for his service. I think a lot of us know Don and know him in a variety of capacities, but this evening we have a member of the Commission on Disabilities, Lynn Horan, is here this evening. Hi, Lynn.
You hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Lynn Horan, Vice Chair of the Commission on Disabilities for Holyoke, and yes, I'm here to recognize Don Welsh and his 21 years of commitment to the Commission on Disabilities. Unfortunately, he could not be here because he is a man truly going to retire after many years of commitment and is currently out of town, but we wanted to make sure that his work did not go pass by. So I thank the Mayor's Office and the City Council for allowing us to do this recognition and gratitude of his 21 plus years for our commission. And I would also like to take this opportunity, in addition, to talk about the Commission on Disabilities, that we are here. We are here to take, as many advocacy groups do, we walk on and forge forward on the backs of those that are our predecessors like Don. And we are hoping to do even more outreach to those disabled residents of Holyoke. And I would like to say, too, that unknown to many people in our community, even in the country, according to the CDC and the World Health Organization, we are the largest marginalized group in the world. And we are the most diverse. And that is largely in part due to discriminatory activities that happen as well. And that is relevant to Holyoke. In Hampden County, we have one of the largest populations of disabled people. And so it's a really worthy commission, and we are currently in need of members. So I would like to urge anybody who is either disabled, a caretaker of a disabled person, or interested or works within this field to please contact the mayor who does the appointing process. It's a wonderful commission to get into and a great way to participate. And I also would like to take and remind folks that we are one of many, many commissions and boards of volunteers largely in this city that help to make this city run and are absolutely beneficial to the hard work that all our city councilors, by the way, do here as well. So please contact us. Please consider how you can participate in making our city a continued better place to live. And I would also relate that to, quite frankly, to giving us an opportunity to speak publicly for over 90 minutes, as that is often the beginning of the first experience that any city resident has when they first come to city government. And so it would be nice to extend that time so we make them welcome. They are often, we have city councilors right here who I first witnessed come as public residents to testify and speak for longer than that, who are now wonderfully city council members. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much to Don Welsh.
Thank you, Lynn. Any other counselors have anything they want to add? Patty, do you want these, or do you want me to just hold on to them? Counselor Devine, do you want these, or do you want me to hold on to them? I will take them. Okay. Okay, thank you. Alrighty. So with that, we will go into item 1, under the public hearing, petition for pole and wire locations.
A motion to take one off the table and to open the public hearing.
So motion has been made and seconded to open a public hearing for the petition for pole and wire locations. I'll read the. We have to set it first. Do we have to set the date first? Would it be 2 weeks from today? Or is it today? What's that? Okay, for today? Okay.
Okay, right?
Thank you, sorry. Okay. So Jeffrey was just saying that he typically in the past we notified 2 weeks from the date of today, and the city clerk was just letting us know that HG&E did, or they notified abutters, but we can, on the motion to open the public hearing today, this would be for the Holyoke Gas and Electric Department request permission to locate a line of wires, cables, poles, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way or ways. 1, street light hole between property line of 31 O'Connor Ave and 33 O'Connor Ave, Holyoke. So the motion was made and seconded to start the public hearing today. All those all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Under discussion, any discussion? Councilor Devine, you just
Make a
had your
motion to
hand.
close the public hearing. I believe this was Counselor Givner's request.
Yes.
That they put that in, so I think that's good that they're doing that.
So hold on, before we close,
We want to make sure somebody's on, if someone.
yeah, I want to just check and see if anyone's here in response to this. I don't see any hands up. Is anyone here in the audience here in response to item 1? Seeing none.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing. I don't want to close it. I'll make a motion just to continue the public hearing for 2 weeks from today to the 16th at 7 o'clock.
Motion has been made and seconded to continue the hearing to April 16th
At 7 p.m.
at 7 p.m.
That's right.
That'll give folks time in case they didn't know until now. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Up next is public comment. We don't have anyone signed up in chambers, and I don't see anyone on Zoom. So we'll move forward.
Madam President, I'd
Yeah.
like to make a motion to suspend rules, take 2, 3 together and approve them because they're both reappointments.
Second?
Second.
So motion has been made and seconded to take item 2 and 3 as a package. Item 2 is from Mayor Joshua Garcia, letter reappointing Preston Macy of 72 Shawmut Ave to serve as a member of the Registrar of Voters. Mr. Macy will serve a 3-year term expiring on March 31st, 2027. And the third is from Mayor Joshua Garcia, letter reappointing Liana Paselis of 1081 Hamden Street to serve as a member of the Commission on Disabilities. She will serve a 3-year term expiring March 2027. So the motion has been made and seconded to approve. I will just for clarification, I don't think we have to approve Disabilities Commission, but is that,
It's not subject to city council approval.
it's not.
Right.
So, okay, because of state law. So, I mean, we can still approve, or if you want to amend.
Just be received.
Okay, so motion has been made and seconded to reappoint for item 2. All those,
Voice vote.
voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. And then to receive item 3, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved.
And I'll make a motion to take 4 off the table and refer that to public service, please.
Second.
So motion has been made and seconded to refer item 4. I will just say 4 is also Commission on Disabilities. We can still send it, but just to make
Oh,
that.
geez, that's right.
And that
Oh,
should be
if it's
Southampton
just
Road.
received, then so be it, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll make a
So
motion to receive.
motion to receive item 4 from Mayor Joshua Garcia, letter appointing Marlene Connor of 275 Southampton Road to serve as a member of the Commission on Disabilities. Ms. Connor will serve a 3-year term expiring March 2027. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved.
And I'll make a motion to take 5 off the table to receive and adopt.
Motion has been made and seconded to take item 5 from City Clerk Brenna McGee and Administrative Assistant Jeffrey Anderson Burgos from the March 19th, 2024 meeting minutes. Any corrections or changes, additions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 7. From the Board of Fire Commissioners, minutes from the February 12th, 2024 meeting.
Be received.
Motion to receive.
Motion has been made and seconded to receive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. No petitions. I do have
Item
some.
number 6, Mr. Madam President.
I'm so sorry.
All good.
From item number 6, from Attorney Kathleen Degnan, legal opinion regarding the context of senior.
Be received and sent to Charter and Rules.
Motion has been
Can we
made.
suspend
and-
the rules, and I guess that the order's filed today. That's pretty quick turnaround, the legal opinion. But can we take 63? We take 63 off the table and put that together with number 6 and ship them wherever the maker wants them to go.
Second.
Charter and rules?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right, motion has been made and seconded to take items 6 and 63, send to Charter and Rules. 63 is filed by Councilor McGrath Smith, order that the legal department clarify the meaning of senior member as related to City Council Rules 3B and 8D. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
By the way, I'm still the senior member. Thank you, Law Department.
No, it's good to clarify.
Only in one way.
Oh,
Hey.
you're quick.
Not in age,
Rainey. Touche, sir.
but now it's official.
Now it's official. There we
You want to have a
go.
title or something? You want to be dean? Is
Yeah,
that what
can
you-
I
is
get a
that what
little-
you're- you're
The
ranking?
Dean of the
star
Holyoke
next
City
time.
Council, Kevin Jordan.
Yeah,
All
Looking for a title,
exactly.
Kev?
Absolutely.
right, I'm not missing anything else, right? Okay. So, President's report, where did I put it? Where I put these things. Okay, here we are. So just a few dates or things to just be aware of. Just want to thank Parks and Recreation, Wisteria Hearst, and La Sede Familias, everyone who helped have some great Easter events. Hope everyone was able to check it out. The Holyoke High School musical is this week. It's my favorite time of year. It's My Fair Lady, and it's April 4th, 5th, 6th, and then the 7th is a matinee performance at 2. So you can get tickets in advance or you can get tickets at the door. The YMCA is having their annual Sneaker Peek event on this Saturday, April 6th. It's at 5:30 at the Y Gymnasium. Homework House is having their annual fundraiser Thursday, April 25th. It's their spelling bee. If folks are interested in having a spelling bee team, I was contacted in case you are interested. You don't have to win, it's for the kids. Not that I don't think you all aren't great spellers. We do, and we have a couple,
We're all
I
sitting at
mean,
the ringer.
Counselor Graney, and
Counselor, great. Two teams.
yeah, I'm just saying, I think we could mop the
Good
floor.
spellers
but
in the room.
That's just me. Whatever.
I like our chances.
I'm just saying, if the public's watching, you should peer pressure everyone into doing it. Let's see. Providence Ministries is also doing their fundraiser, Retro Game Night, Friday, April 26th. And then the last one that I got an email about was the Latino Scholarship Fund dinner. That is on Thursday, June 6th. So Those are ones I've been contacted about recently. We're also having the elected officials reception with the Holyoke Chamber of Commerce, and that's next Thursday, April 11th, from 4:30 to 7 up at Gary Rome. So does anyone have anything else they want to add? I see Councilor Anderson Burgos and then Councilor Greeny. Councilor Anderson Burgos?
Yeah, so I'm don't want to mention names, and I won't mention the department. It's just, I want to put this out there. So I was at a department, and the employees told me that a counselor disrespected them, spoke down to them, while another constituent was waiting in that office, and things got a little bit extremely uncomfortable. And I just want to put this out there for the record. As elected officials, we should be very professional when we're working throughout any department in the city. Even in public, we should definitely be professional because people look up to us, right? They vote us in, and we should be held to a higher standard. That's one thing. And secondly, it also brings light to the fact that we have an engineer position online, and one of the comments when people were talking about the cost, like how much are they paying, so on and so forth, one comment was made: do not go to Holyoke. They are very toxic. So when I hear about this incident and I'm seeing what I'm reading online, it only shows how much more farther we have to go to get this city on the right track. We don't need to be toxic. We need to be respectful, professional, so that we can function as a city. You know? Thank you. That was it.
Thank you. Councilor Greeny?
Just quickly, food for thought. It'd be nice if the My Fair Lady, the video was sent to maybe the DOE so that they could view what type of work goes on in the Holyoke Public Schools. I don't know how we'd go about that, but I think that would be an entertaining thing for them to see, the great things that our kids do here in Holyoke High School.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. That's all I got for the president's report. So we're going to head to reports of committees. Before we get started, Councilor Bacon and Councilor Rivera, do we have your permission to, not Councilor Jenny Rivera, to sign off on the orders?
Yes, please.
For me, you can sign off on the orders other than 8.
Sign off on the orders other than 8. Okay.
Thank you.
Point of order. Did
Yes.
we do number 7? And I'm just missing that we did it? Or
From the Board of
We
Fire
did it.
Commission? Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
just double checking. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. All right, so item number 8, the Committee on Ordinance, to whom an order was referred.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to entertain a motion to take up items 8, 9, and 10 as a package.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to suspend the rules and take items 8, 9, and 10 as a package. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. All right, item 8 is the Committee on Ordinance, that the City Council review and adopt the mayor's proposal for the city's financial policies by ordinance. Recommended that the order be adopted pending creation of the CAFO position. Item number 9, the Committee on Ordinance referred an order from Mayor Joshua Garcia, emails providing feedback from various department heads in regards to financial policies manual. Recommend that the order has been complied with. And number 10, the Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order, City of Holyoke Financial Policies Manual from the Division of Local Services, Mass Department of Revenue. Recommend that the order has been complied with. Councilor Rivera.
Thank you. So for last Wednesday, we had a pretty lengthy conversation around all 3 of these particular items. We had Marsha from the DLS come in, and she was able to present on the the backing and the ideology behind the position and a lot of the research around the financial position. She was. They also sent us. I don't know if all the counselors got it, but I know they sent it to me, and I believe they possibly sent it to Jeff to share with everyone else. The flow chart that's attached to the information via email. If you didn't get it, please feel free to let me know, and I'll be able to send it to Jeff and have him share it with everyone else in case he wasn't able to share it. But in the presentation, there were a lot of questions around the fact that the CAFO position doesn't actually exist right now, and the fact that instead of saying the mayor, it says the CAFO in certain spaces, and certain counselors or particular counselors brought up the issue, and the mayor and Marcia pretty much stated that in every single one of those instances, it also says within the if the clarification where if the position isn't created, then it would also fall to the mayor for the responsibilities. So there was a lot of back and forth around that, and then there was some other conversation that came up around some stuff that came up from Charter and Rules too as well. And it kind of had us going in circles with regards to this particular position, and we ended up coming together or Councilor McGrath Smith, if that's okay with me sharing, ended up putting an order forward to adopt the financial policies. I'm losing the word right now. The book, pretty much. Along with the approval, considering pending the creation of the position of the CAFO, ideally, I don't want to speak for her, but I think for me, where it makes sense, there is one comes along with the other, and we're trying to do these together simultaneously. I know Councilor Vacan also had an opinion which was not the same, and if she wants, when she gets the chance, she can also share a little more as to the reasoning behind it. I spoke briefly a little bit around it, but I'm sure she can get deeper into a lot of that. But unless Councilor McGrath Smith has anything else to add, or Councilor Vacan, as well as Councilor Bartley, who was also present, I think that we pushed it forward. I'm in the position right now to actually hopefully see. It's all dependent on the body right now. It's on the will of the body. For me, I actually feel like we could send it back to committee, have a little bit more of a conversation around the position itself. The financial policies piece is already done, and in conversations with the mayor, he said that they're going to follow the policies regardless, whether we codify them right now or we codify them later on. That's just in the system for them to follow them. But right now, I'm at the will of the body with regards to this particular position, because I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of controversy surrounding it, and this is something that is very important for the city moving forward. I don't want to push something that's going to more than likely die, and then we might not be able to have the conversation again later on, or not to. We'd have to wait later on down the road to actually have the conversation. So I'll allow the room for anyone else to have any questions or anything that they would like to expand on here, because I'm sure there is.
Thank you, Councilor. I have Councilor Vacan and then Councilor Jordan. Councilor Vacan?
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you, Chair Rivera, for acknowledging a different perspective. So I just want to share two things fairly briefly. One, I am in favor of adopting the policies, and what I was attempting to do in committee was to ask that the language say mayor where it now says CAFO, or it could say mayor or CAFO. But my issue was not the chain of command. My issue was the fact that right now, if we are to approve these policies, the person who is the head of our finance departments is our mayor. And that was simply all that I was trying to accomplish in that regard. I would note that the creation of the position itself is tabled in committee, and there is no need or requirement to have to approve the CAFO in order to approve the financial policies. But if the body isn't warm to separating those, then I would second the motion to send it back to committee for further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Jordan, and then Counselor McGrath-Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. A couple of things is I was looking to see the legal form, and I was wondering how that was going to shake out because the policies are really, really long. But I was kind of interested to see, I mean, like really long. I mean, last time I read it was like 99 pages. And I was kind of wondering what that was going to look like in its legal form. Because if we're adopting this in an ordinance form, I was kind of curious to see how that would read and what sections they would drop it into. So I, at one time, a year ago, or whenever I had met with the mayor and agreed to be one of the lead sponsors in supporting this, and I am, and I still am, and I believe it was originally introduced under my name, I did go through the whole thing. I actually only made one amendment. I did want to hopefully make sure that that amendment, because I don't think it was controversial, was, if you recall, colleagues, it was about if a department head becomes aware of a loss or a theft greater than $500 of city property, that they're to report it to the mayor and the city council. And the council unanimously adopted it, and then the mayor vetoed it and said, hey, wait until you're ready to adopt the financial policies, and then he's all in favor of it. So when we do these, I wanted to, make sure that when we do adopt this, that section, it was like 2 sentences got in there in the 99 pages. And then the other thing was a friendly suggestion along the lines of what the chairman just said, which is, do we either have a thing in the definitions, or are we just going to put it that, because I'd like us to adopt these, whether we do CAFO or not do CAFO, it's really important that we do these. The mayor is spot on doing this, but we want to make sure that it says mayor or CAFO, or if the CAFO doesn't exist yet, then these duties will be taken on by the mayor, who's doing them today. So I just want to make sure we had those 2 provisions. So I would ask if you could keep those 3 things in mind. I'm assuming this probably goes back to committee, because I myself haven't seen a legal form yet, but that's going to be a lot of work on the law department, I'm sure, to put that in the legal form.
Thank you. Counselor McGrath-Smith?
I wanted to start by just commending the work that's been done on the policies, and I think it's a good step forward in terms of us righting our financial ship. And the reason why I put forward the motion in the subcommittee meeting to approve this language pending the approval of the CAFO is because the CAFO is a central part of this policies manual. So to accept a policies manual without that is really gutting a major section of it, a major functionality of the recommendations. The CAFO title itself is mentioned 6 times on the first page. So I think that we've heard that the mayor's already in full support of following these. I don't think there's a rush in terms of urgency to amend them without the CAFO to make sure that they're being followed. I think they are. And they're waiting for us, right? So I think the urgency should be more on our body to move the CAFO position forward and figure it out so that we can adopt the policies manual as it exists. Otherwise, what we're going to be asking for is for this manual, which is very lengthy, as Councilor Jordan mentioned, we'll be asking for it to be amended in dozens of places. And they would need to have a letter that said, here's where we're amending it, here's all the places we're amending it. It's a process. And I think rather than spend our time in that process, rather us put our time in trying to figure out how to move the CAFO forward so that we're just adopting it as it is. That's why. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded to send items 8, 9, and 10.
I think just the number 8.
Yeah, just 8.
Right, okay,
9
so
and,
Just number 8. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. My bad.
I know we packaged it, but
Thank you. So motion was made and seconded to send item 8 back to committee. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
in motion that 9 and 10 are complied with.
And
Second.
motion has been made and seconded that items 9 and 10 are complied with. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay, item 11 is the Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order to add the position of city engineer to the ordinance under Section A, Grade 13. Here it says recommended that the order be adopted pending resolution of an open question with regard to the union. Councilor Rivera.
So this is another one that it's a little sticky too as well. We had a small conversation around this, mostly because, to my understanding, that some legal issues arose within the charter, or discrepancies between the charter and where the position is found now. And I think that we pushed it forward with the hope that that the pending resolution of open questions would have been solved by now. It is my understanding that the questions and the negotiations with the union are still they're undergoing still these current negotiations with the union about this particular position. So for this one, I would also recommend that it gets sent back to committee until they negotiate and hash out whatever discrepancies they have found with regards to this particular position.
And I'll second that.
Second.
Okay, so motion has been made and seconded to send back to committee. Is there any discussion? Anyone have anything else they want to add? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Moving on to finance. Number 12, the Committee on Finance, that there be an appropriated transfer in fiscal year 24 of $4,070.10 from firefighter to fire chief. Counselor Devine?
Motion to pass the first reading.
Motion has been made and seconded to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
Okay, and this is for Chief Katowitz. This is his raise, which is a contractual raise based on the firefighters' raise of 2.5%, and that was complied with.
Okay, so the motion was to pass the first reading. We did that. Motion to
Pass the second reading.
pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Greeny,
No.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
12 yeas, 1 nay.
With that, you've passed that transfer. Item 13, Committee on Finance was referred an order that there be appropriated transfer $87,000 from pay engineer, property maintenance and demo, refuse laborer, highway laborer, parks, to professional engineering services, R&M streets, pay refuse overtime, pay over city property overtime, parks overtime, admin overtime. Recommended that the order be motion is to receive and adopt and pass the first reading. Councilor Devine?
Yep, this is for the DPW, for parks overtime. They have to do the baseball, the Blue Sox, 2 hours before they have to be there. They have to be there 2 hours after. And then half of that is from the DPW, half of that is from the Parks and Rec. And then there is, this is a balance for the rest of the year, consulting fees for engineering, R&M streets and potholes, separate that out. There was a water break, so that took a lot of overtime. That was the one that was in the city hall. So that's why, and this was complied with 3-0.
Does anyone
Also,
have?
one more thing, that
Sorry.
you need 2 custodians to cover the city council meetings, and if one of them should be out sick or on vacation, that person has to work overtime to fill in that position.
Okay. Do I have Councilor Rivera?
Yeah, I did have one question. I apologize. I missed the meeting. I had softball practice yesterday. I'm coaching little girl softball for like 4 or 5 year olds. But eventually, well, I mean, we'll do the Blue Sox piece, right? So we pay overtime for the fields to get done?
Because they're working during the day.
No, I know.
So they come in at night to do 2 hours before the Blue Sox and 2 hours after
Yeah.
they're done.
Okay. All right.
And
So,
it's divided up between the Parks and Rec and the DPW.
yeah. All right. I just didn't know that. All right. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Counselor Bartley.
Yeah, well, first off, on the Blue Sox, I know that they're working beforehand. How do I put it? I've probably gone to, last year, probably hit 90% of the Blue Sox games. And I know Mr. Tuig is there all the time. So he's there basically the whole pregame and the whole game. So, I mean, sometimes those games go for, 3 hours. So he's there. So he's getting paid for the 4, whatever. So that's pretty much a bargain. So just pointing that out. The second thing is I had no idea that City Hall maintenance has 2. I've never seen 2 of them here at one meeting. Now I've only been here, I'm only my 13th year, but I've only seen 1 at a time. I've never seen 2 maintenance people here during the city council meeting, no matter how long they've gone, not once in my career. So I'm not really understanding. I guess this is a contractual obligation. I've got to assume that to be true, but just wondering if there's a real need for that going forward. I realize we don't negotiate contracts. I understand it completely, but I was caught off guard when I heard that, so I'm just.
Counselor Devine.
Yeah, they have to cover each other. So again, if one of them is out, the other one has to cover both shifts. And this was, and sometimes there's late meetings, even though we don't like late meetings, sometimes there is. The other thing too that I forgot to mention, the boiler at Wistariahurst also had a problem. So they had to go in and do overtime for that, because that was a huge problem. And also the Council on Aging, snow removal, and things like that. So it's a lot of money, but it's certainly worth it for all the overtime they have to put in.
Just more quick.
Counselor Bartley.
Speaking of Wistariahurst, is there any overtime being put into repairing the wall on Pine Street that, as Kevin pointed out 2 years ago, looks like it got hit by a missile? So.
Yeah, that might be in committee, or maybe someone should file an order. Something, I'm not sure.
Well.
Right in this moment, but.
Well, I mean, it's been fenced off for quite some time.
Counselor Givner,
That'd be helpful if I could just get an update. Is all I want.
Sure, Counselor Givner.
So the last I understood from the Wistariahurst wall is that they were having a hard time finding someone within the budget who had the qualifications, because it's a historical building, to put all those stones back in the exact same order they came out in, and fix it exactly just so. And I think in their last, the last monies they received, they used to repaint Wistariahurst. They did some roof work, so they're working on it, but it's a budget thing like everything.
Okay. Counselor Sullivan, and then Counselor McGrath-Smith.
Yeah, and I would just like to call everybody's attention to, once again, we're transferring money from the full-time engineering position to professional services for a temporary person filling in. I'll refer back to number 11, which we've already dealt with, to add the position of city engineer under the ordinance. I just want to stress enough, if the union can't straighten this out by the next meeting, we ought to just go ahead with this and let legal deal with it. We've been operating for too long without a city engineer. Absolutely too long. It's unacceptable. And I'd also like to say, if it wasn't for our current chairman of the DPW, Mary Monahan, we'd really be up the creek. Thanks.
Thank you. Counselor McGrath-Smith.
Just wanted to weigh in that if you want to learn more about the Wistariahurst wall and how it's going to be fixed, you can tune into the finance meeting, because it's coming in the CPA orders.
Okay. I knew it was in the jacket. I knew it. Okay. Any other comments on this order? Okay, so the motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye. Pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Thank you. With that, you've approved the transfer. Item nope, just kidding. 14. The Committee on Finance, that the City Council hereby accept the provisions of the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development Workplace Safety Grant, $11,000 no match, and authorizes the establishment of a fund or other method appropriate for the accounting of the receipts and expenditures of said grant, and grant reporting. Any city department which has received grant funding by approval of City Council shall, within a reasonable period of time, but no later than 60 days, generate a detailed report. So Councilor Devine, the motion's to receive, adopt, and pass the first reading?
Okay, yes, this was from the DPW as well, and it was a safety grant, and what it was for was, safety inspector of the Holyoke DPW, and I believe Sean was in during that time, and he's really, really terrific and has a lot of information. This was a Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development to create, operate, and oversee effective and innovative statewide services to protect workers' rights, health, safety, wages, and working conditions, ensure against job-related injury. So that was approved. Was also, the employers will find that implementing safety and health programs prevent workplace injuries and illnesses, improve compliance with laws and regulations, reduce costs, including significant reductions in workers' compensation, engage workers, enhance their social responsibility goal. And that was complied with and passed.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else have any comments? So motions to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion's been made to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Thank you. With that, you have approved the transfer. Item 15 is the Committee on Finance received an order that the City Council hereby accepts the provisions of the Massachusetts Office on Disability $89,850 no match grant and authorizes the establishment of a fund for accounting receipts and expenditures of said grant. Motion to
Pass the
receive.
first reading.
All right, Counselor Devine.
Yes, this was also a, from the DPW. It was an American with Disabilities Act for the purposes to evaluate all the sidewalks to make sure that they're ADA compliant. And this was from the Municipal ADA Improvement Grant Program. Is an annual grant program administered by the city, by the Office of Administration and Finance of the Massachusetts Office of Disability to fund capital improvements by municipalities to increase accessibility for people with disabilities.
Thank you, Counselor. Does anyone have any other questions or comments? Counselor Graney.
Yeah, just an aside comment, maybe something that would be worthy of looking at is the entrance into and exiting from downstairs to get people in and out. It's pretty rough getting people in and out down there. Just an aside.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Anyone else? So motion to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney, Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With that, you've passed the transfer. Item 16. The Committee on Finance, to whom an order was referred, the appropriated transfer of $13,342 as follows: from the principal clerk assessor to repair and maintenance Wisteria Hearst.
Receive and pass the first reading.
Motion is receive and pass the first reading. Counselor Devine.
Yeah, this was the reason it was able to be, go from the assessor to repair and maintenance of Wisteria Hearst, because the assessor's office had, somebody had left and they had hired somebody later than they thought. So they had this money in their budget and they were able to pass it on to the Wisteria Hearst. And as I said before, this is another boiler went into what they call trouble mode, and there was no heat in the building. The electricians, plumber were called. Sean, again, from the DPW, is just tremendous. He was able to get that. I want to say he said about 9 o'clock at night. There was no damage done to any of the historical items, but that's why they needed the transfer.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else have anything they want to add? All right, so the motion's to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll.
Devine.
Yes.
Givner.
Yes.
Graney. Yes. Jordan.
Yes.
McGrath Smith.
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti.
Yes.
Ocasio.
Yes.
Israel Rivera.
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
Anderson Burgos.
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Great, you have passed that. Thank you. Item 17, the Committee on Finance, to whom an order was referred, that the City Council hereby accept the provisions of the Friends of City Hall $10,000 donation and authorizes the establishment of a fund or other method appropriate for accounting of the receipts and expenditures.
Motion to pass the first reading.
Motions to receive, adopt, and pass the first reading. Counselor Devine.
Yep, this was, Sean from the DPW, again, was so helpful with everything that, about this particular grant. And what it is the Friends of City Hall have a $10,000 donation that they only want to go to stained glass windows. So the auditor is going to create an account with the $10,000 strictly for stained glass windows.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other comments or questions? All right, so motion's been made to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Motion to pass second reading.
Motion's to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll.
Devine.
Yes.
Givner.
Yes.
Graney. Jordan.
Yes.
McGrath Smith.
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti.
Yes.
Ocasio.
Yes.
Israel Rivera.
Yes.
Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
Anderson Burgos.
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
That you've passed that grant approval. Item 18. Committee on Finance to accept the provisions of the Mass Department of Energy Resources Green Communities Competitive Grant, $197,404, no match, and authorizes the establishment of a fund or other method appropriate for accounting of the receipts and expenditures.
Motion to pass the first reading.
Motion to pass the first reading. Counselor Devine.
And Yanni was in to talk about this grant and what it is. It's a construction grant that will replace the LEDs in municipal buildings, City Hall Annex, and War Memorial. Let's see. Also at Dean and Metcalf School, as well as a suite of weatherization measures at City Hall Annex, Children's Museum, War Memorial, and Dean School. Upon completion, this project will improve energy efficiency and related energy costs in addition to reducing carbon emissions. And then they'll be going out for bid for contractors to do the work, probably be done by FY 26 or sooner.
All right, thank you, Counselor. Does anyone have anything they want to add? So the motion's to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion has been made to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll.
Bartley. I'm sorry. Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney, Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Okay, with that, you have accepted that. Moving forward, item 19, Committee on Finance, to whom an order is referred, that the City Council accept the provisions of the fiscal year 2023 Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, EMPG, grant, $12,350, no match, and authorizes the establishment of a fund for the accounting of the receipts and expenditures.
Make a motion to pass the first reading.
Motion has been made to pass the first reading. Counselor Devine.
Yes, this, Jeff Trask was in on this, and what it's for is every year, it's primarily used for the department at 600 High Street for their training room. It's going to be for new IT equipment, to buy, upgrade Emergency Operations Center at 600 High Street, video conferencing to bring online training of civilian volunteers.
Okay, anyone else have anything to add? All right, so motion's been made to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting to approve this.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With that, you've passed it. Thank you. Item 20, Committee on Finance, the Committee on Finance, to whom an order is referred, that the transfer of $21,300 as follows, from capital stabilization to R&M buildings and grounds. Recommended that the order be returned to the auditor. Counselor Devine?
From what I understand, that's supposed to go into the senior center, and there was a motion made to return it to the auditor. I think the codes were wrong, so that's why it was going back.
Yes, does this go with item 46?
It could.
That
Is
looks
it
like they've
time?
corrected the codes.
Okay. Yes, that's correct.
I'd entertain a motion to take
Item 46 out as well.
item 20 and 46 together as a package. Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So do you want to send both of these to the auditor, or because that's there, is it?
Well, I can tell you what it's for, if that helps.
Yeah.
And so we can get this moving along. It's to the repair the hot water heater at Wisteria Hearst, that there's no loss of service. They've already had Belanger Plumbing take a look in there, controls in the kitchen and the cafe. And it just needs to go to the senior center, and that's what that's for. So that's why she changed the codes, because they were incorrect.
All right, so technically, item 46 is essentially replacing item 20?
Yes.
Okay. So, maybe we should,
Should suspend the rules and go to the first reading of 46
of 46.
if we're going to pass it tonight.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to suspend the rules and take final action on item 46. I'll read that into the record. Ordered that there be and is hereby appropriated transfer $21,300 from capital stabilization to R&M Buildings Council on Aging, $21,300. So motion to pass the first reading, is that
Well,
motion?
for item 46,
Six.
yeah,
That's the replacement, right?
yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading, Counselor Graney?
Basically, the money's going to the senior center.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just want to clarify that.
Sure.
And I'll also ask the auditor to minus that out of the capitalization. the
Okay.
20,000.
Okay. So motion to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you're voting yes, you're voting in favor of item 46.
Divine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Rainey,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Madam President?
Yes, Counselor
We're-
Devine.
We're done with this finance stuff. I'm wondering if I might make a motion to take late filed A up, since we're talking about the DPW.
Yep. Okay.
Madam President?
Okay. Yes, Counselor Bacon?
Thank you. Did we actually vote on returning item 20 to the auditor?
No, that's on my list. I think
Okay.
now it might actually
Okay.
be leave to withdraw, but,
Okay.
okay.
I'll give make a motion to give item 20 leave to withdraw.
Motion has been made and seconded to give item 20 leave to withdraw, since that's, yes, Counselor.
I was told on a prior legal opinion, we can't give financial transfers a leave to withdraw. They either have to be defeated or returned to the auditor.
Okay.
Well-
Well, then we can go on the original order to
Yeah.
return to the auditor.
Return it to the auditor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay. So motion has been made and seconded to take late file A
Yes.
out of order.
Make a
So, hold on. Ordered that there be a transfer in the fiscal year 24 for $20,000 as follows. Property maintenance and demo worker, 5,000, refuse laborer, 10,000, parks HMEO, 5,000, to R&M vehicles, 20,000.
Yep.
Counselor Devine?
The reason, I spoke to Carl today, who cannot be here tonight, and what this transfers for is to repair and maintenance of vehicles, so he can hire somebody to start working on DPW vehicles. So I thought rather than wait until, I think, the 17th, is we could pass this tonight for him. Motion to pass its
Just
first reading?
Well,
Just a quick point of order.
yeah, sure, Counselor
So
Bartley.
late files, respectfully, are not to be debated. So we just take final action of it. So I don't see how we can debate this at all, because that's in our rules. So I would say, in my opinion, that this should just go right to the finance committee and for a regular, normal discussion with the DPW superintendent. So that's my point of order.
Okay.
I'm
So,
going to make, my motion is to refer this to finance.
Second.
okay. Motion has been made and seconded to send this item to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
No. Well,
Shall we do a,
how about this?
yeah, Counselor Jordan?
Friendly suggestion. The rules require that unless 2/3 had voted to take final action right now, it has to by rule go to committee.
Okay.
So maybe that's our way out, Madam President, is
Sure.
we just take a show of hands. If 2/3 want to take final action right now, we'll take final action. If they don't, then it'll go to finance.
Okay, motion has been made to, and seconded to, take final action on late file A. The clerk will call the roll.
Divine,
Yes.
Givner, Rainey,
No.
Jordan,
No.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes?
Ocasio,
No.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
No.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley.
No.
9 yeas, 4 nays.
I think it was 8-5. I heard 5 no's.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry about that.
I'll just renew my motion and send it to
You
finance.
don't need to. By rule, it automatically has to go.
So there we go. It's gonna go right to finance.
This will probably come up on April 17th.
Okay.
And I certainly hope that people will either Zoom in or attend it.
Yes.
To hear Carl, so he can finally hire some people.
Always the goal. April 17th. Thanks, friends. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Okay. Let me just get my... Back to committee reports. Okay. Item 21. The Committee on Charter and Rules, to whom an order was referred in order that the City of Holyoke, through its Honorable City Council and Mayor, hereby petition the Mass General Court to enact legislation, quote, establishing an appointed treasurer for the City of Holyoke in the form set forth below, provided, however, that the General Court may reasonably vary the form and substance of the requested legislation within the scope of the general public objectives of this petition. An act establishing an appointed treasurer for the City of Holyoke. This act proposes to change the city treasurer from an elected position to an appointed one. The appointment will be made by the mayor with approval of the city council for a term not to exceed 5 years, and the qualifications for the position may be established by ordinance. If adopted, the treasurer elected in 23 municipal election will fill the vacancy in the office for the remaining 2 years, and a treasurer will be appointed to the position following the expiration of that term in January 2026 or sooner if the office is vacated. Recommended that the order be referred to the council without recommendation. Councilor McGrath-Smith.
So this was a complex conversation. So I wrote it out because I wanted to make sure that I got it right. So at the March 25th meeting, the Charter and Rules Committee took up the language proposed by Madam President Murphy-Armaletti and also Councilor Vacan in the order that's after this, from October 2022 and 2023 respectively, concerning the role of treasurer. Based on that conversation, which included the voices of 7 city councilors, there is a clear consensus on the need to move the position of treasurer from elected to appointed, so we can ensure that the individual in that role possesses the necessary qualifications, experience, and expertise to handle complex financial matters and provide sound financial management of our city. There was also consensus on changing the following language, which both of those orders share. Shifting the term from 5 to 3 years in order to align it with the tax collector position and to reduce its longevity in light of the lack of recall provision. Shifting with approval to upon confirmation of, for clarity, and removing all language after if adopted in favor of just stating effective 2026. There was not consensus on who the appointing power should be, the mayor or the city council, and significant discussion took place concerning the appropriate balance of power, especially in the wider context of a larger financial department restructuring, where other positions may be added or combined. As a result, there was a discussion around which positions could potentially be appointed by the mayor versus the council. There was also not consensus on whether to name the appointing power at this juncture so that it could be named in the ballot question. In the language before you, this is where it gets weird. We voted, and sort of how we voted somehow is not exactly what's here, because we voted on those amendments, and then we also voted on an additional amendment to see if it could pass, where we changed mayor to city council as the appointing power, and then that was defeated by 2-1. So that was what was coming forward to council tonight. This is the original language. So I just wanted to put in the record what that vote was. So the appointing power language was then removed in one of the amendments so that we would not, in fact, say at all who the appointing power was, and it would just go to the state home rule petition process without it, with the understanding that council would later define it in ordinance. That is the language that was rejected in terms of a 2-1 vote moving forward to this body. It would provide us more flexibility in setting it and changing it in the future if we did it just through ordinance and not through petition, and not through charter. But it may not have the mayor's support, and it also may be advisable to present a ballot question to voters that doesn't clearly name the appointing power. The point was raised that voters may rightfully want clarity on who will have the power to choose the treasurer if we were asking them to relinquish their power at the ballot box to do so. There was also not consensus on whether or not a recall position or removal authority should be named in the home rule petition, so it could be included in a ballot question. There was discussion concerning whether or not a residency requirement was advisable, though that would be set in ordinance and not through any process involving charter and rules. Lastly, there was consensus that we come to an agreement in council quickly in order to facilitate this home rule petition going to the state legislature as soon as possible, since it can take several months in order for the state to act. If we do not act soon, it is possible we would put voters in the unenviable position of having to elect a treasurer on the same ballot that they are asked to vote on changing that very position from elected to appointed. Our goal should be to get the home rule petition to the state legislature so that it can be approved and placed on the 2024 ballot, which means that this body would need to approve it as a ballot question by October 1st, 2024. We also reviewed the reality that no home rule petition can go to the state legislature without the approval of both the city council and the mayor, so we'll need the mayor's support of our proposal. In short, the current proposal had consensus at the Charter and Rules meeting prior to the language to remove a clear appointing power, and so it left our committee with a 2-to-1 recommendation not to approve the language in its current form. Our hope is that a robust discussion tonight will allow us to together determine the language that we can move forward with.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Jordan.
One, we have no legal form to vote on, so that's a major problem. Whatever the final version that was voted out of committee, we have to actually have the document that we're going to, the final version that us to have a vote on. That's an obvious problem. The other thing is that I think we still need to solve the issue of the tax collector combined with the treasurer issue. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've yet to hear anybody voice strong opposition, if any opposition, to the notion that we're going to combine those two departments. And that we were going to have, then it became a debate over who would ultimately appoint the position. And then there's also this simultaneous discussion going on relative to CAFO. So for example, we appoint the tax collector, and when there's a vacancy in treasurer, we would appoint the treasurer. That's already the current law. So some of us view it as if we merge these two together, we would keep it appointed by the council. Meanwhile, if the mayor can make the case to ordinance to have and create the CAFO position, it's envisioned that he would appoint the CAFO position. Now, he has to sell the council on the $125,000 proposed salary and how that's going to save money, but that position is supposed to be the oversight to this position. So that's actually even more, because we're creating another layer between the mayor and the finance positions, right? So right now, we have basically the mayor is parallel to the other elected treasurer. In other words, this would actually be to lower this job, treasurer, combine it with tax collector, and create a CAFO in between them and the mayor. So that kind of has to get figured out. But if we're going to send this up and we're going to change the role of the treasurer, we need to put the combined language in about the tax collector. And then I think, in my opinion, it should stay appointed by the council because it's appointed by the council now. And then talk about the CAFO being appointed by the mayor. So who's going to oversee this position, as I mentioned? So I think those points need to be taken care of. I think unless there's major opposition to combining it with the tax collector, I think that should be able to move forward pretty quickly in committee. But obviously, the devil's in the details here. We'll have to see what the final language is. I think the committee came up with a lot of good ideas around the 3 years and, you know, the term, which is the current term for tax collector. I think this can work. I think there's consensus around getting this on the ballot for this year. I think there's strong consensus, and I would strongly encourage that whatever changes we do, they are voted in by the public, because this current treasurer position and this current charter was created by a vote of the people, all right? So to take that power away from the people, the public should be doing that, right? They need to, we can approve it, the legislature, but ultimately we need the public's blessing they put it in as an elected position. They, the people, should ultimately have the say about it coming out as being elected. So I think if we work on those things and get this all into legal form, I think we can, pretty quickly act on this. Certainly, I would hope so.
Thank you. Councilor Rivera and then Councilor Bartley.
Thank you. I think for me, where the confusion lies, and I understand that the way the system we have now, with regards to the council appointing the role of, I think it's the tax collector because the treasurer gets elected. Ultimately, if the CAFO is the person overseeing them, what we're saying is that the CAFO is not the person that's hiring them, in a sense. And if that's the case, then that confuses me, right? Because the system is being adjusted and changed for a particular reason. It's not for the last, how do you say it? And I'm not even saying that it's like, I'm not trying to refer back to the power dynamic thing. I'm just saying, like, it's not that we're losing power in a sense as a council, even though we kind of are. But ultimately, to me, it's just, how do we hire someone that someone else is supposed to oversee if we're not the ones that are technically overseeing them? That is where I'm trying to wrap my head around, where it's like, if the CAFO position is the person that is going to be overseeing this person, wouldn't we want in the future, right? Wouldn't we want for the CAFO position to be the one to recruit and hire the person in the position, right? So, or are we going to be doing the interviews and putting out the resumes and doing all that stuff? Because if that's the case, that's where it's at for me, right? Like, in the governmental process and in me understanding public administration in government, that kind of doesn't make sense. It feels like a little bit of overreach, but at the end of the day, I'm willing to listen and hear where I get the traditional piece, right? But what we're not doing anymore is we're no longer going to have an elected position. So it changes the whole dynamic of how our governmental structure is going to be. I understand it's for some people it's a change we might not want, or it may be different, but it's actually a common practice. And if you look at the document that was sent to us, well, maybe not all of us, and I'll make sure that I send it to Jeff to send it to everyone, that has the flow structure. We're not the only community that's looking at it like this. There's a lot of other communities that are doing it in this way. But I just wanted to kind of point that out because there's a lot of things being said, a lot of things being thrown in different directions. I totally understand the whole piece of how we get to a point and all the other stuff, but I think that when it comes down to organizational structure, it kind of doesn't make sense, but I'm willing to listen.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Bartley,
Yeah.
and then Councilor Bacon, and then
Yeah.
Councilor Graney.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let me be as quick as I possibly can. So let's just, let me respond to my friend, the ordinance chair. It does make sense. Right now, you've got to equate the mayor with the CAFO, Madam President. And if you can do that in an organizational chart, in your mind or on paper, however you do it, right now, the mayor is the CAFO. The mayor oversees the treasurer, the assessor, everybody else. And that's the system that's going to work. Now we're just going to add another layer in between the mayor and the financial team. So if you can picture that, I think it would make a lot of sense. Furthermore, the mayor right now is the chief administrative officer of the city. The mayor, even though the auditor is a city council appointee, the auditor has to report to the mayor. The assessors work underneath the auspices of the mayor, though they are a city council appointment. The collector, same thing. So to say that a CAFO, because it works, has to appoint everybody underneath she or he, that's erroneous. That doesn't even happen now. But the main point that I want to raise, and this really, it was so obvious, it was right in front of me, but Kevin mentioned it, and it just blows the whole argument about executive powers that were brought up in ordinance last week. What did Kevin just say? When there's a vacancy in the treasurer's office, who appoints? This body.
Can I do a point of order on that, actually? So in 1992, our charter was replaced by state law reference that says the mayor shall appoint a temporary city clerk or city treasurer without confirmation by city council, and any provision of the city charter to the contrary notwithstanding. Section 41, 1461A. So based on what's in our charter, that's not true. It's been said twice.
Okay, hold up. So,
Point of order.
okay,
Well,
that's a point of order.
Well, I think I saw the floor.
So, yes, and
But just so Madam President, that is not a point of order. That is an argument that should be filed under a separate city council order and most likely reviewed by an attorney who would understand that. I'm not saying we don't understand it. I'm not being condescending. I'm just saying, but that is absolutely not a point of order.
everyone's point of orders seem a little different.
Well,
so I don't know.
I'll
We seem to have.
I'll let. Okay. Look. Well, let's
You
move.
say tomato. I
Well,
say
let's move
Sure,
on.
sure.
Well, let's move on for that. The historical precedence in this city, despite that comment, has been this body appoints. At the ordinance, it was said, well, it's just an executive function. You just heard the ordinance chair saying, well, it seems like, well, I mean, the CAFO, if the CAFO is going to be there, he or she should be appointing all the. That's not how our system is. And I keep going back to checks and balances, and I'm going to keep saying it constantly. There's got to be oversight, especially in city government, and it happens in private sector too. This is just another example. Ultimately, the mayor is at the peak of the pyramid. The mayor would be the one appointing the CAFO. When there's a financial team meeting, the CAFO will gather the assessor, treasurer, collector. I don't get why this is even controversial. Apparently it is, but if councilors aren't going to soften their positions, then this is going to be hard to pass. So the mayor, in my opinion, would appoint the CAFO, no problem. The city council would retain its authority to appoint a treasurer/collector. I think that's, to me, the best way forward, and frankly, I think it's the only way forward.
Thank you. So I have Councilor Bacon next with her hand up, and then I have Councilor Graney.
Thank you, Madam President. So I have a question through the president to the chair of Charter and Rules. Do we have an order to merge collector and treasurer in the jacket for Charter and Rules right now so that it could be taken up?
So what we have.
If you know.
So what we have under tonight's agenda.
No, in the jacket that we could take up at our next meeting.
No, so like we have to take up 61 tonight and move it to Charter and Rules in order to be able to have that wider conversation.
So what I would suggest, if I may, to somebody who's in the room, to file that as a late file tonight, the order to merge the collector and treasurer offices so that it could be taken up within discussion on these two items that we're talking about right now in council. And once everybody's had their say, I'd like to make a motion to return items 21 and 22 to committee.
Thank you.
I'm going to second that motion.
Okay, I have Councilor Graney next.
Yeah, in theory, theory is one thing, but what works and what doesn't work is another situation. All I know is the city council has oversight of much of the finances that goes in, even though the mayor is the chief officer. The taxpayers are our bosses, and we have an absolute responsibility to spend their money in the most frugal manner that we can. And these positions that are being created and raises that are being made, I have some concern with as a taxpayer in the city who right now is at the top or at the end of my line as being a senior on an income that is does not increase, a fixed income. And I'm looking out for a lot of people out there who are struggling. And what we need to do as a body is to be as friendly as we possibly can to all the people, low-income people, people who are paying the freight. We have a responsibility to look at all these costs. We don't know if the CAFO is going to save us money. In theory, it might, but we don't know. I don't have any examples of any other place that has an example of a CAFO that has saved money. All I know is every municipality in the state of Massachusetts, the taxes have increased and increased and increased. And quite frankly, a lot of people are sick of it. And what's going to happen is they're either going to stop paying their taxes, there's going to be foreclosures, but all heck is going to break loose. So I think we should be very careful on all of these issues. And I don't want to sound or be too alarming, but I'm speaking from a lot of input that I get from a lot of people out there. We need to be careful. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone? Oh, Councillor Sullivan?
So, referring everything back to committee, going through all this, whether it's a CAFO, whether we merge departments, all of that stuff can happen. What we've got in front of us is the basic question of moving this from being an elected position to an appointed position. Not having not a CAFO, that's a completely separate discussion. Merging people together is a completely separate discussion from this order. This is to petition the general court to change it from elected to appointed. That's it. So all these other discussions are a distraction from what we need to do to get this in front of the general court so we can get it as a ballot question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Graney and then Councillor Jordan.
Once again, I'm opposed to taking anything out of the hands of the voters.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Jordan?
Yep. This really is about well more than just whether it's elected or appointed. First of all, speaking of points of order, we don't even have a legal form in front of us to vote on. So I would object to that I'm required under the rules to have this for 48 hours anyways. And any one person can object to that. So that's what it takes. I'll object. But number two, I would point out who's the appointing authority. We need to have all of these things, a general framework of understanding figured out. The legislature is going to need to combine this because that also is a charter change that's going with this position as well. And before I'm willing to just give the appointment authority over for the tax collector, the treasurer, and by the way, you might want to look at the special acts of 1936 when the city adopted a special act relative to the issue, relative to the city council appointing vacancies to treasurer. As a matter of fact, you don't need to go into too far of ancient history. We appointed Rory Casey as the current treasurer, right? So that was just, 2 years ago? This has been the law for Holyoke for about 100 years. So anyways, and by the way, the law that was cited there is relative to vacancies on a temporary basis of department heads for a period of 30 days that can be extended for a period of 60 days on an emergency. There's a legal opinion on Chapter 41, Section 61A. I would refer my colleagues to that. So relative to the issue at hand, we need to figure that out. And we're almost there, but we're not all the way there. And that's why I have concerns. What are we doing with CAFO? Is this moving forward? If it is moving forward, and that's going to be appointed by the mayor, then what we're going to be doing, then this should be appointed by council. Now, if having said that, we're willing to change this all tonight and say, just sail it through and it's appointed by city council and we're going to pick up the CAFO down the road, okay, I'll vote for that tonight. But it isn't going to be we take this and send it down appointed by the mayor and maybe we'll get some balance down the road for other things for the council. That doesn't work that way because there's no assurances that that's actually even going to happen. So that would be the only way I could support this tonight. And again, I don't know how anybody can support it because you don't even have the final writing even in front of you. But even if you were, the 3 years appointed by the council, send it down, fine. I'm on board to do that. But I ultimately feel the right way to do it is merge it with tax collector, appointed by the council, send it to the legislature, and then the compromise with the mayor is we can discuss if he can make the case on this CAFO that could be appointed. And I'm generally warm to having it be the CAFO being appointed by the mayor. And no, I don't think the view is that the CAFO, at least my opinion, is that the CAFO should be appointing all these other subordinate positions. We passed an ordinance about 10 years ago that gave the mayor day-to-day oversight authority over our appointments. He cannot hire them and he cannot fire them, but he can do the day-to-day guidance. We listened to Mayor Morse at that time. He made a convincing case to the city council, and I think we passed it unanimously. So as far as, being part of the team and direct oversight, he has that already. And the CAFO would have that. But we need to see where you're going to save $125,000. And we need to see, all that's got to get ironed out yet. But as far as who appoints, and maybe, the mayor, if he wants to talk about other things to keep balance in the system, generally speaking, the finance positions have been under the jurisdiction of the council, and the mayor has the operational control of the day-to-day operations of the government. This is how we've had this segregation of powers, and I would like that to continue.
Thank you. I have Councilor Sullivan and then Councilor McGrath-Smith.
Just through the chair to answer one point of Councilor Jordanes, it says right here, the appointment will be made by the city council. That's what's in front of us. No?
That's Mike, that didn't pass. We got number 21, Mike.
That's the issue.
This is on 22.
We're on 21.
We're on 21. 22 they rejected. 21 is what got passed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McGrath-Smith?
So it was a version of 21 that had consensus of a 2-to-1 vote on charter and rules. And while, yes, it was a 2-to-1 vote, there were a lot of counselors that were weighing in as well at the time. I want to name that we looked at the ballot question language that was given to us in legal form, and it read based on the amendments that people made to the motion. So ballot question number 1, shall an act passed by the general court in the year 2023 entitled an act establishing an appointed treasurer be accepted, yes or no? Summary of question 1. This act proposes to change the city treasurer from an elected position to an appointed position. The appointment will be made by the mayor with city council confirmation for a term not to exceed 3 years, and the qualifications may be established by ordinance. If accepted, the treasurer elected in the 2023 election will fill the vacancy in the office the remaining 2 years. And a treasurer will be reappointed or appointed to the position following the expiration of that term in January 2026 or sooner if the office is vacated. By voting no, the position of treasurer shall remain an elected position. So the way that we had looked at the language was, yes, let's make sure that we're moving from 5 to 3. Let's change it from approval to confirmation by city council to give us that check on this. And then let's remove all of the language from if accepted all the way through until vacated with effective 2026. That was the language that we looked at. So we did have the legal language in front of us when we had this conversation.
What was that? Oh, sorry. Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Madam President. I would further note that we also voted that the ordinance language would be changed to shall instead of may relative to the qualifications of the position.
Yes,
but
thank you.
The final problem that we have is that after committee on 2-to-1 votes approved all the amendments to the language, in the last vote on the total recommendation to the council, it failed on a 2-1 vote. So therefore, we did not get updated legal language before us tonight. So we have to go back and we have to come to some agreement on some language in the committee to then request legal to update the legal form for council to review at least 48 hours before our next meeting. That's just procedurally where we're at. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we do have a motion that was made and seconded. The motion was made by Counselor Bartley to. Oh, you seconded it. I'm sorry. Okay.
Bacon.
Counselor Bacon was made and seconded to send back to committee. Any other discussion? Okay, on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No?
No.
Should we do a roll call vote? I don't,
It's up to you. You can.
show of hands? We can do that.
Okay.
So to send back to committee, raise your hands. I mean, all right. Linda's got her hand up. Okay. Great. So we're going to send that back to committee. And I hope everyone comes to Charter and Rules.
So do I.
It's gonna be nice and long.
Yeah, it'll be a great discussion. Thanks, everyone. So we're still on 22, right?
22 back to committee.
Right?
too.
20. Did we vote together? Okay.
Kissing cousins, right?
Well, was that vote for both of them? I haven't heard that phrase in quite a while.
No, Madam President, they weren't. So I'll make a
No,
motion to
that's
take
not a good
22
expression.
off the table and refer it back to
Motion has been
Twins, how
made.
about that?
22, send it back to Charter and Rules.
Motion has been made and seconded to
Second.
send item 22 back to Charter and Rules. Do I have permission to do an abbreviated read? Okay. The Committee on Charter and Rules referred an order that the City of Holyoke hereby petition Mass General Court to enact legislation establishing an appointed treasurer for the City of Holyoke. This act proposes to change the city treasurer from an elected position to an appointed one. The appointment will be made by the City Council, not to exceed 5 years. And qualifications for the position may be established by ordinance. If adopted, the treasurer elected in 2023 will fill the vacancy for the remaining 2 years. Recommend that the order is sent back to committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So moved. Item 23. The Committee on Charter and Rules, to whom was referred an order that the position of Chief Administrative and Financial Officer be created and added to Schedule A. Recommend that the order has been complied with. Counselor McGrath-Smith?
So I've learned that I don't like copies because I can't do anything with copies. So this item was brought up in the context of the complexity of the possible financial restructuring, so the committee could consider a home rule petition in light of other home rule petitions that may be considered, but because it was sent to us as a copy, we can't act on it. So you'll actually see in front of you a motion tonight that will allow us to actually act on it in Charter and Rules. I will say that out of the conversation, while it is possible to consider a combined timeline for several changes at once, it was at least my judgment that it made sense to craft and send a home rule petition for the treasurer position and to focus first on what might be a component of a larger process. I mean, largely knowing what happened with the Charter Commission and how complex it became and then how it was defeated. I think that we say the devil's in the detail, but if we try to take on everything at once, I think we could just get bogged down and do nothing and move nothing forward. So the goal is to take that piece up, and I think we have to decide as a body through the Charter and Rules conversation. Again, I encourage everyone to come. Like, are we moving this forward as one discrete piece, or are we going to try to move forward a comprehensive home rule petition that has a lot of pieces? Right now, they're moving through as separate orders. Our recommendation is the order has been complied with, which is about all we could do with a copied order. And a new order is required for us to act on creating a home rule petition for this position to be created. And I expect it will be on an upcoming Charter and Rules agenda.
Thank you. Anyone else? The motion that the order been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 24, Committee on Charter and Rules, was referred in order Rule 6, Decorum, Section E. Add the words or city employees after the words another member. Recommended that the order be adopted. Counselor McGrath-Smith?
The Charter and Rules Committee voted 2-1 to recommend this rules change to the full body with the hope of affirming our common value of respecting city employees, many of whom are called here to present to us. Councilors Jordan and Vacan spoke to the need for all of us to live that value by likewise speaking respectfully both in and outside of chambers of each other, and to be aware of what we say on social media. It was also agreed that the purpose of this rule is not to silence legitimate criticism or to use decorum as a tool for censorship.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Counselor Graney?
Well, that depends on what the definition of decorum is. Some people could use that for censorship. Make no mistake about that.
Thank you. Counselor Devine?
Yeah, I think this is a good place to put city employees. Counselor Anderson Burgos already mentioned tonight that he was in an office and that a city councilor was disrespectful. And this is not the first time that I've heard something like that. And it's a simple thing. You just put in city employees. They deserve to be treated with respect. They are not members of the general public. And quite frankly, they don't love coming before us because of the way they're treated by some councilors. So I think it's a good thing to put those words in. It's real simple.
Thank you. Counselor Bartley and then Counselor Jordan.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to vote no on this. I think this change is meant to be divisive, and I think it's to put counselors in a silo as opposed to city employees. I have personally spoken to department heads prior to this to let them know my position, to let them know how much I respect them, and to know how much I enjoy working with them. The number of times I can remember a department head or a member of a commission coming here and maybe having an argument or two is minimal. The overwhelming majority of time, department heads are treated with the utmost respect and courtesy in this room. And that's just an historical fact. Furthermore, I have not heard one department head tell me that they're intimidated by coming here. I've not heard one iota of a comment relative to that. Now, others hear different things, but I'm telling you from my perspective, my 2 years, my consistent being on this council, consistently being not only on off days, coming to City Hall and talking to employees and department heads, which I've regularly done for my full tenure, there is nothing but warm feelings relative to at least me and to, I would say, the majority of the counselors. The vast majority of the counselors with whom I've served, and now it's probably in the mid double digits at this point in my life. So I don't, and I've told counselors or I told the department heads, we already have provisions in our rules that meet this need. Again, this is, I think, a amendment that doubles down on something we already do, and I think it's just meant to be divisive, and that's the reason I'm going to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Jordan and then Counselor Bacon.
You know, Madam President, in and of itself, this rule seems completely vanilla. It seems like something it would be a no-brainer to adopt, right? Be respectful to city employees, the general public, anybody. Everybody should be a lady and a gentleman in this body. None of us are perfect. We all fall short from time to time. And by the way, that stands for city employees fall short from time to time, and members of the public read social media fall short from time to time. Everybody in this community needs to raise the level of discourse, and that includes me, that includes everybody from time to time. Normally, I would have no issue whatsoever voting for this. The problem I have is I cannot ignore the last year of just total hypocrisy I have listened and witnessed over the last year, particularly from certain individuals, when I have had to have my legitimate questions that I have asked for 28 years, and then also for 3 more on the Water Commission, and you can ask the Water Commission. I've asked legitimate questions when I was on both of these, so that's 30, going on 31 years, of people, anybody that comes in here. This is the public's money. You are entitled to question anybody about any legitimate public issue, okay? Yes, we should do it in respectful terms, but to get lectures from individuals who will say things like, you know, this is interrogations, and then to get on social media and to just throw people under the bus so unfairly. Meanwhile, I will ask legitimate questions of the law department, like, for example, questioning vacation benefits, questioning pay benefits, questioning the context of legal opinions if they're based on the charter or in law. That is completely out of bounds, apparently. Meanwhile, you'll have other individuals who've served on this body who will actually try to remove members of the law department out of their jobs, accuse them of accusations such as too many conflicts, too many questions. I can't vote for you. You shouldn't even be the city solicitor. Okay? That occurred, not that long ago, 14 years ago. But yet now these are the spokespeople for the employees. Okay? You can't even really make this up. Meanwhile, you hear total silence over all the other. I mean, I could give a laundry list here. I mean, I almost blush. People want to get into this debate all night. I'm happy to. But the stuff you see on social media, the finger pointing, and I'll get you, and I'll get you, and I'll get you, or this one doesn't like kids, or this one's a racist, this one's a this one's a that. And yet we get these lectures about decorum and civility. Whole departments are labeled gang members. Where's the lecture? Where's the lecture on decorum on city employees? People need to look back in people's records about what people have been convicted of and not convicted of relative to city employees in this chamber, okay? You might want to take a look at that too. This council, and I can only speak for myself because there's only one person in this room I can police. That's Kevin Jourdain, okay? And I have served with integrity my entire service here. People can say they agree or disagree with things I do. Some votes over the years I wish I could take back or do things in a better way, no doubt. We all fall short of the standard. But we all serve with good faith. And where we don't and we make mistakes, people should serve. But, you know, I really am disappointed to see where this has gone to just, and I chalk it up to just politics, right? We had an election last year and people are trying to get elected and they're trying to promote themselves. So let's just start beating people with a club. And I refuse to participate in these social media firing squads that are out there of this one's an idiot and that one's a this and this one's a that. I just will not do that. I feel it lowers me. And to Juan's correct point, we are leaders and people do look up to us, or they should, or try to. We got to raise the bar. And whatever the rules of decorum are going to be, all of this comes down to common sense. But why I really am challenged to vote for this is I'm wondering what the social media post is going to be later this week. Yeah, look at me. I passed the rule and we told them and, you know, we'll straighten those bastards out and blah, 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 blah. This is what I'm talking about, Madam President. This lowers the discussion. It creates this type of division. And this is the thing that we need to get beyond. And I think if we do that, we'll be in a good place. So thank you.
All right, thank you. I've got quite a list of folks in line now. I've got Councilor Bacon up next, and then Councilor Anderson Burgos.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be fairly brief, but I guess the main point that I want to make that I already made in committee is that I think the rule is sufficient. I find it a little ironic that in some cases we ignore our rules completely, and in other cases we want to add to them and make them stronger. However, I feel that you cannot make people behave differently by adding a select group of people to a rule. Because as has been mentioned previously, there have been any number of communications back and forth between counselors over the years, counselors and the public, counselors and employees, but truly the only thing that will cause compliance with the rule, whether it says another member or member of the general public, which we as counselors are both, and city employees are also both, no selective choosing of a group of people are going to cause anyone to behave more differently. I believe the rule is adequate. I believe it says how we want to conduct ourselves, and I think if we simply commit to following the rule as it exists, we wouldn't have any need to add any further language to it. So that will be the basis of my no vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Anderson Burgos, then Counselor Givner.
Thank you, Madam President. What alternate universe am I in right now? What alternate? I am so confused because what's before us is something that should be simple math. 1 + 1 is 2. Respect. We're not talking about social media because it's true. Trying to control people on social media is like trying to control the waves of an ocean. Not possible. Only the moon can do that, and we're not the moon. So what I see before us is this body, this building, within. There is so much toxic going on. Toxic, that people get sick. I've spoken to former counselors who said, I can't be in that space because ABC made me sick. I can't even watch the meetings on the TV because the members of the body make me sick. I have employees throughout the city telling me they're nervous coming into this space. So this before us is to rectify, to fix what has been broken for a long time. We do not sit in chairs up here. We are not higher or more important than people. We are the people. So that means everyone, even constituents, everyone across the board. This is simple math. What alternate universe are we in? Why are we making it more difficult? Like, there's so much we have to do in this city, and we're going to sit here and say, I don't want to be kind because I don't have to. I don't want to because I got elected and I have the right to be rude, talk down to you, disrespect you, so on and so forth. And we're going to keep doing this? It's what's been happening for so long. Enough is enough. Thank you. Sorry.
Don't apologize.
Thank you. Counselor Givner.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm pretty sure I put this order in, and I just wanted to clarify that I had no divisive intentions. It's not political. I have witnessed over, I'm only in my second term, but the first term, I really feel like I felt it more when city officials, when city employees came into the chambers. I watched them get treated in ways that I wouldn't want to be treated. And I've definitely seen it more than a few times in just in just my short time here. So I can respect that other people don't notice it or don't feel it. But it's happening. So when I put this order in, it was in good faith, like most of my orders, to just say, hey, let's be a little more conscious of how we're treating people. I strongly believe that when we have these discussions, it makes us think about the things we're doing and the way we're treating people, whether it's inside or outside of the chambers. I can respect, that being a concern. But again, this was specifically for in the chambers. This conversation keeps going all over the place. I'm talking about right here When people from the city come in, we practically drag them in at all hours of the day, make them sit here till whenever at night so they can explain to us over and over again the same things they explain to us often. We need more clarification. We need them to come in again. We're not always the nicest. And I just thought this is a really nice way to remind us that we should be treating each other and city employees with respect when they're in the chambers to do city business. It's really important business. We need to work together with everyone here. And yeah, so as far as being divisive, that's not really my thing. And I think it's a bit of an exaggeration to say, you know, that an order like this is put forward to pat oneself on the back. It's not. I've noticed the problems in here, and I'm just trying to address it the best way I know how. So thank you so much. I will obviously be voting for this because I think it's kind of a no-brainer, like Councilor Anderson Burgos said. I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I don't think it's that hard to make a commitment to be a little nicer to each other and to city employees.
Thank you. I have Councilor Rivera and then Councilor Graney.
First, I want to recognize, welcome to the club, Kev. You know what I mean? We said a swear here.
Yeah.
On TV.
Wasn't my first, to be honest.
No, it was my first. It was my first. It was my first. So, but you didn't say it in a way that was belligerent. You didn't say it in a way that it was derogatory, not condescending, and it wasn't directed at anybody. So there was no issue. There was no problem. So like where it comes down to the decorum piece, right? It's about how the message is delivered and how, and we're all passionate counselors for whatever it is that we want to be passionate about. But there are certain circumstances, and I guess I could be guilty for this too sometimes, where when we're either speaking to each other or to employees, our passion gets a little bit like projected on the outside. I think this order is to kind of like remind us to keep that passion within. And I hear the piece where it's like, this person's doing that person's doing that, we're all doing this. I think the onus belongs to us to rise above what the other person is doing, right? I'm not the best at that, but I try to practice that to the best of my abilities. And it's, how do you say it? It's a life learning process for me. But what I would say is that like there are people watching us, and if you do make the mistake of saying something that is belligerent or disrespectful to someone, it only gives us the space to continue to repair that and then go back and try to fix that later on by acting in ways that don't continue that behavior. I feel like the order that was the intention behind the order. All the other stuff that's coming in is kind of noise, but it's not noise that you shouldn't listen to. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like all the Facebook stuff, I can't control what other people say on Facebook. In the past, I used to say a bunch of stuff before I got on the council. Now I'm on the council and I try to limit what I say. Like I can't control what other people say there, and there are a lot of people that are saying there. But like Councilor Jourdain mentioned, we can control what comes out of us. And I think that one of the things I wrote down is that like the employees are nervous, right? If they're nervous, I think that if there's an issue with this, then why don't we just do a survey for all city employees on what their experience is like when they're coming to city council and hear it from them themselves, right? Like it's not no more me making up a story and no more any other counselor saying that, oh, well, I speak to them too. No, let's just actually do a survey and get their word from them directly and find out how they feel when they come to council chambers. Because I don't want to keep on with the point, but at the end of the day, we don't have to be kumbaya, but there's certain levels to this. And I think that this is a level where we're starting to kind of have an understanding of being respectful and decorum on a level of how decorum is evolving in today's politics. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Graney.
Yeah, just briefly, as far as Facebook and all that stuff, is you have control over that. You just shut it off. Secondly, decorum is a definition of a word. Who is going to police who has violated the decorum order and who hasn't violated the decorum order? What I don't want to see as a situation where I'm not saying it would, but it could become Orwellian. And I don't want that to happen, and that's why I'm not going to vote for this.
Okay, thank you. I have Counselor Devine next, and then Counselor Sullivan.
This certainly was not filed to have it be divisive, and it certainly doesn't apply just to department heads. It applies to regular city employees that may not be department heads. Now, maybe you don't hear this out there, the people that are going to vote against this, but I can only speak for myself. I do hear it. I have heard it over the years, and people don't like to come before this council because they're afraid they're going to get berated, and I've seen that happen. They seem, I mean, I hate to keep bringing up the Connecticut River and the lowlife comments that were made, but they are. And if they're made towards me or the law department, how can you say that people aren't offended by that? And that's a simple little thing, 2 words. City employees. That's all we're asking. We're not asking to police it. It's no different than any other words that are in our ordinance. It's just they have to be. They can't keep being treated this way. So,
thank you, Counselor Sullivan.
Yeah, I'm going to be voting for this. I think it's a nice gesture to include the city employees. The 2 points I'd like to make is, number one, department heads, when they come in here, that's their job. When they took that job, they knew they were going to come in here. They knew they're going to have to answer questions. To the rest of the council, I'd like to say what some people consider disrespectful, what some people consider belligerent, is simply asking the hard questions of the people that are paid to do that job. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Jordan.
Just briefly, pretty much if you had asked me a year ago, that pretty much what Counselor Sullivan just said there would summarize it in a nutshell, and I probably would have voted yes for this. I won't be voting for it only because, quite frankly, we need to build some trust in the room, all right? And what I'm concerned about is really beyond, down the road, is let's move on. I think we all have common sense. We're all smart people. But this job, if you really want to do it, in my opinion, effectively, you have to do a ton of work, a ton of research, and as the watchdog organization of this entire government, we, by nature, make people uncomfortable. We ask and we go there when things aren't right. That doesn't mean you get to name call people. That is 100% true, and we should never do that. And I don't advocate that, and quite frankly, I don't do that. And I don't think anyone's accusing me of that. But what I was accused of is, the way you're asking the questions. That's really subjective and so unfair, the way that was characterized. And this is the thing that I'm concerned about, is that in the future, we need to ask tough questions and direct questions and get to the bottom of things and matters. Because if we don't, who does? Who stands in our shoes? And I just also want to dispel this notion that this is a popularity contest. I'm not here, and I mentioned this at Charter and Rules the other night, and I thought the chair, by the way, did a nice job and summarized the committee report very nicely. The concern here is that I'm not here to be buddy-buddy with the employees. I would love, they're wonderful people, the vast majority, there's no issue whatsoever, okay? But the fact of the matter is, from time to time, people aren't living up to the standard, and we speak to this here. And I'm concerned that you get labeled as, oh, well, he don't give me my vacation, he don't give me my salary increase, what a mean old bastard, or, I used that word earlier, I apologize. What a meanie he is, right? And now you get this narrative going like, oh man, that guy is really a blah, blah, blah. And that is just not right, and that you don't want to do that because your style is one way. Just be mindful that other counselors have different ways about them, and we're all unique. We all bring 13 different perspectives to this council and have different ways. And some things, some people aren't interested in. Some of the things I'm interested in, you're not interested in, vice versa. I agree with the point. We need to be respectful of people. But on the other hand, we got to be careful that we don't set the standard that, it's security blankets and comfort animals in here either, where it's you come in and, oh, did I make you feel uncomfortable because I asked you about the conflict of interest on a certain department, or I don't want to vote for your increase because we can't afford it, or I don't think you deserve this vacation because the last 20 people in front of you didn't get it. You know, that's just Holyoke City Council doing its job. And I would be really concerned if everybody's in here is running the place, is patting us on the back saying, oh boy, what a bunch of sweethearts they are. You know, then we'd have to take a look in the mirror as to, are we really doing the job? So I would just say the point should not be controversial on that, but I say these things not for my own sake, but for the institution. I care so much about this institution. This job is about getting results and getting to the bottom of things for the people of Holyoke. And it's a naturally, sometimes adversarial position that you put in because you're the people that say no from time to time. And that isn't about the standard isn't making people feel comfortable. And I get a little worried when I hear that's the standard, or people are nervous. You know, some people that are doing certain things, they have a right to be nervous. Others, as a general rule, we're very supportive of people. And I think this council passes 98% of everything here through with no questions asked half the time. So I just don't like the rap against this institution like we're a bunch of troublemakers in here. This is doing the people's business, and the people's business is serving as a check for the voters and the citizens. And that's where our ultimate loyalties lie. And sadly, I have lost quote unquote fake friends in government over the years here, some long time ago, some recently, because they think like, oh, well, you know, hey, we're friends, so I'll get this. It didn't work out for them. And I just say, I'm sorry, I don't agree. And, you know, I have to take my lumps. So
Thank you.
I wanted to get that off my chest, Madam President. I feel that's the spirit of my concern. That's the point.
Okay, thanks so much. So Councilor Anderson Burgos, and then I'm really hoping
I'll
we can
be
maybe
quick.
vote
I'll be quick.
on
I'll be
this.
quick. I'll be quick. So I'm looking at this order, and I'd like to say I do ask hard questions. If I make you feel uncomfortable, it's not intentional. It's just to ask those hard questions, which we should. We should be asking those hard questions because that's the position we're in, right? That's one thing. But then I look at this order, and what it's telling me is, well, I know that I go in good faith and I would never rip down someone, disrespect, talk to them in a way where they make them feel very extremely uncomfortable. And I'm not talking about asking hard questions, because that's what we're supposed to be doing, asking those hard questions. Then I take a look at myself and I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, I'm okay with this because I'm okay and I'm good with respecting people. So if people feel like, oh, they're trying to get me or they're trying to control me it's not really that. I think what we need to look at is respectful, decorum, and that's it. Plain and simple.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
All right, so on the motion, was recommended that the order be adopted. The clerk will call the roll? Okay.
Sounds good.
We'll go.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Graney,
No.
Jordan,
No.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio, Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
No.
Anderson Burgos,
Peacefully, yes.
Hartley.
Respectfully, no.
8 yeas, 5 nays.
So with that, you did pass that rule change. Let's see, items 25 to 43 are all given leave to withdraw.
Motion to suspend rules, take as a package, if that's okay with the chair.
Second.
Motion
Yes,
given a
please, with an abbreviated reading.
That's what I was
That's
waiting
all together now.
for. Great, love it. Okay.
Can we just make that as
Yeah,
a
time
blanket
is
rule?
crunching, huh, guys?
Ms.
Okay.
McGrath and I want to make that as a blanket rule for the whole year. Is that
I mean, like, I'm down with that, but
all right?
Okay, so let's go through these. 25, the Committee on Charter and Rules, that the city charter be amended if there's a vacancy in the mayor's office and the president of the city council cannot assume the duties full-time. Item 26, Charter and Rules, that the city council add the Communications Committee, Senior Citizen Quality of Life Committee. 27 is that the city solicitor's office begin drafting a ballot question for the next election cycle about social consumption for cannabis. 28, Charter and Rules, that the committee chairs limit the amount of public hearings added to an agenda. 29, the order that establishes a city council rule to allow one councilor to call for an end to debate on spending bonding issues. Item 30, that we add to our charter, if a councilor is absent from a full meeting for more than 3 consecutive meetings without written notice, their seat is considered open. 31, the city council create a rule where any candidate must disclose with the city clerk's office federal or state litigation that may be pending. 32, an order that a fund be created to implement a series of studies rotating between city departments each year to study best practices. Item 33, that recall provisions be established for every elected official in the city. 34, that we create a ballot question asking if there should be a recall process for all elected officials. 35, the veto from the mayor that the city council retain independent legal counsel to work with the city council and legal department. 36, that the city council rule 7B be amended, that 10 minutes of response time will be allowed for councilors to address and answer questions or comments from the public. 37, that a 30-minute public comment period be added to city council meetings. 38, that we consider a ballot question to determine if the term of office for mayor should be reduced to 2 years. 39, in communication, providing an article on Juan Montano's arrest. The council 40 is that the council takes necessary steps towards imposing term limits for all elected officials. Item 41, that a new rule regarding proclamations be established. When a proclamation is issued by the city, it shall be given withdrawn upon discovery and documentation of criminal convictions. 42, that we change Rule 8, decorum and speaking. No member shall speak more than twice the same question without leave if the city council, of the city council. And 43, changing Rule 7 on the agenda section related to the words Pledge of Allegiance. All items 25 to 43 have been recommended by the committee to give leave to withdraw. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
Madam Chair,
Oh, sorry, Councilor Greeny.
could I make a motion that, with all the motions, orders, and resolutions, the ones that need to be taken up tonight, we take them out of order, and the ones that be sent to committee, be put to the end of the road.
So, is there a second?
Where's the introduction
No,
duty?
just keep this rolling here.
Just keep going through the motions, orders, and resolutions?
A lot of
Was
these
there
can
a
be
second?
combined, because there aren't many.
Okay. I didn't hear a second. I'm just gonna keep going.
So,
Item 44, if this is motions, resolutions, and orders, we are doing so good on time.
If anything can be combined, that'd be great.
If what?
Any of these can be combined,
Okay,
and they're going to committee, that'd be great.
sure. Let's
motion to
see.
take 51 out of, we would take 51 up and try to have final action on it tonight. That's the injured on duty.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to take final action on item 51. Filed by Councilor Devine, ordered that there be a transfer of $25,481.34 as follows from sergeants and patrolmen to injured on duty. Counselor Devine?
Yeah, this is the normal course when there's an injured on duty because they do have to get paid. Make a motion that we accept that.
Second.
So the motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Is there a
Motion to
motion?
pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. And I was just gonna find number 44. This is for 9 officers. That's the note that's on my order. So motion to pass the second reading. All those, or the clerk will call the roll, sorry.
Devine,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Greeny,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Ocasio,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Great, with that, you've passed it. Item 44.
Be received and sent to the law department.
So filed by Counselor Devine, ordered that the law department render an opinion stating applicable laws or ordinances regarding obtaining petition signatures in buildings or maintained by the city of Holyoke, receive and send to finance. All those in favor?
Law department.
I'm sorry, law department.
Receive, adopt, or send to the law department? Okay.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. The next one is filed by Counselor Devine, ordered that the attached letter from Chief Pratt be added to the next agenda so that it may become part of the official record and sent to finance.
Just be received. The chief already gave it to us, but it was at a committee meeting, I believe. So this, I just filed this so that it'll be part of the record. That's all it is. And these
Okay.
are
So
for
motion
the,
to receive?
Motion to receive, send to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Sorry, what did you?
46 we already did.
We did 46, yep. Item 47, I'm going to do an abbreviated version for this. This is filed by Counselor Devine, whereas Mass General Law, Chapter 440, Section 5B authorizes municipality to create a stabilization fund for specified purpose, and Chapter 77 of the General Acts of 2023 eliminated the minimum 3-year provision and authorizes a municipality to terminate a specialized stabilization fund at any time. And whereas the city, through the city council, voted in June 23 to create a fund to accumulate revenue received from the Massachusetts statewide opioid settlement. Whereas the city of Holyoke now wishes to terminate the opioid settlement stabilization fund and the dedication of revenues received from settlement as authorized under Chapter 77 of the Acts of 2023 to create a special revenue fund for ongoing opioid settlement revenues as authorized by the DOR.
be received and sent to finance.
Receive and send to finance under discussion.
Yes, so let's just put this into somewhat plain language. So, just for the public, because this is somewhat important. And so this is an accounting, trying to make an accounting change to the way we account for opioid settlement funds. Opioid settlement funds were championed by Governor Healy when she was AG and many other AGs. And so now there's this huge pool of money from that big family there that had all the drugs, whatever the name is. And so Massachusetts is going to get millions of dollars, and Holyoke is going to get tens of thousands of dollars annually over the next period of years, and I want to say it's up to 20 years. I'll happily stand corrected. So this is just something that needs to be laid out a lot more clear, and I'm hopeful that whatever we have to do is a lot clearer than the memoranda we received over the weekend in our packets, because that was really confusing. So when we bring this up, I'll happily attend the meeting one way or the other, and we'll have a frank conversation. And last point, I want to understand, because that was not in the memoranda, it would have been nice if it was included, what's the dollar amount in there to date? And what are the dollars that we can anticipate over the course of the next 10, 15 years, whatever that is. So, I mean, this is just kind of an important thing. I don't want to gloss over it. I just want to give it its 2 minutes worth of due for right now. And hopefully a clear discussion will be had on this in finance.
Thank you. Counselor Greeny?
Madam Chair, the last time I checked, there was $74,000 in the opioid stabilization fund.
Thank you. Okay, so on the motion, send to finance, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. We have some more financial
48,
orders. Do you wanna-
49, 50, sent to finance?
motion to take 48, 49, and 50 as a package and send them all to finance.
Is 48 and 49 a duplicate?
I mean, they look the same.
Oh, that's right, I'm
They look
sorry.
exactly the same.
Oh,
There is duplicates.
okay,
So we'll give 48 to finance and 49 leave to withdraw.
okay, so,
Return to auditor.
oh, right,
Return to, okay.
that was,
Okay.
RTA.
okay, so item 48 is filed by Counselor Devine, a transfer of $150,000 from captains, dispatchers, and Quimbil to claims and damages, sent to finance.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Aye.
Item
49 will send,
leave to withdraw.
well, we have to
Is it
send
the
it back
same?
to the auditor, but yeah.
Okay.
So
yep.
49, it's the same order. It's a duplicate by accident, so we're just gonna motion to send that back to the auditor.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 50 is filed by Counselor Devine, ordered that there be a transfer of $20,000 from cannabis stabilization to cannabis OPED legal services, sent to finance.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We did 51. Item 52, ordered that there be a transfer in the amount of $7,145.96 to finance.
Even sent to finance?
Finance.
Send to finance.
Kind of like 53, 54, 55.
Well, hold on.
No,
There we got another
53 and
duplicate
54
there.
is a duplicate.
Nope.
Okay.
So item 53, transfer for $8,000, reference librarian to financial manager, sent to finance. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
54, return to the auditor.
Item 54 is the same transfer. It's a duplicate, so we're going to send that back to the auditor
And the mayor.
and the mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, 55 and 56, I think you can ship those to finance, right?
Yep.
So item
No?
55,
Can't do that?
shall we?
55 and 56? Can't-
We're motion to take item 55 and 56 as a package and send to finance. 55 is accept the provisions of the Plymouth paper donation, 12 pallets, assorted paper goods, estimated value $23,882. And item 56 is order that the amount of $1,126.29 be authorized from the Treasurer Department's R&M office equipment appropriation, sent to finance.
Madam President?
Yes.
55, I think, is just received, and if our administrative assistant can write a thank you letter to Plymouth Paper donation for that donation.
No, it requires a vote, Patty, under
vote.
state law.
We still do have to do a vote.
can't
We have
do
to
that
accept
tonight.
all donations. Yep.
Okay.
Send it to finance.
But
And
I
and make
do-
sure everybody comes, okay?
Okay. Great. We're going to send it to finance and everyone will tune in.
Or show up.
Yeah. And, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. Item, I'm
56,
sorry.
please.
Did you have your hand up? No. Okay.
Not at all, stretching my hands.
Okay.
Item 56,
Item-
received and sent to finance.
Yep. Receive. We already did that. So we'll go to 57, filed by Counselor Givner. With community support, order that the law department provides status of pothole claims over the last 10 years. Where would you like that sent?
Law Department.
Send to public safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Filed by Counselor Givner, item 58, that the chief of police supply a written or in-person update on what steps have been taken to address traffic concerns in Holyoke, especially in wards 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, as required by our city ordinance. Where'd you like that sent? send to public safety.
Madam President,
Yes, Counselor Bacon?
can just as a request to the maker, can we add wards 5 and 7 also?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, okay, send to public safety. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item 59, filed by Counselor Givner. With community support, order that the $15 pothole claims fee be reduced to 0 to reflect practices of neighboring cities and towns. Charging a fee for residents for a service paid by taxes seems redundant. Introduced by ordinance in 2018, this nominal fee generates around $400,000 annually. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. $400 annually.
Ordinance?
Sent to ordinance. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Item, do you want 60, 61?
Yeah, 60, well, I mean, really, all of them should go to charter rules for almost all of them.
Okay, so how about we do, I'll entertain a motion to take items 60 to 66 as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
And so we'll send all of them to charter and rules, and I'll do.
66, can it go, it can only go to one at a time, right? It can't, so one of my questions is, should 66 go to charter and rules, or should it go to ordinance? So I'm just gonna put that on the table.
Okay,
Well, either way,
it could go either way.
why don't you take it up in charter and rules, that way you can,
Sounds like the treasurer issue's over in your committee.
so, I'll reiterate, that I think 60 through 66 for the, should all go to charter and rules.
Okay, so 60, I'm gonna do an abbreviated version unless there's an objection. Great. Ordered that City Council Rule 10C be revisited in discussion. The 10C relates to the youth ambassador position on the City Council. Item 61 is ordered that a home rule petition filed with amendments to the city charter pertaining to our city's restructuring of municipal finance. 62, ordered that City Council Rule 10D be revisited in discussion, and that's having a city councilor or inviting this Holyoke school student to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. 63 is ordered that the legal department clarify the meaning of senior member.
We already did that.
Oh, we did that. Item 64 is that City Council Rule 7B be amended to allow speakers during public comment to speak for up to 3 minutes. The current rule allows for 1.5. Filed by McGrath Smith. Number 65 are ordered that charter references to an assistant superintendent of public works be updated to assistant director of public works. And item 66 ordered that the City Council adopt the provisions of MGL Chapter 43C for the purpose of changing the treasurer from elected to adopted. Motion's been made and seconded to send these to charter and rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We have some late files.
How many?
We already did A.
And B's done too.
Didn't we do A and B already?
Yep.
We have more?
Oh yeah, some came in today.
We already did A. We did B?
Already B.
Okay, right. All right, so late files, we already did A.
And B.
And B. So late file C is filed by Councilor Bartley and Jordan, ordered that with the pedestrian signal on South Street still flashing yellow.
I'd like to hear what you're saying.
Okay, we're so close, guys.
I know.
I'm almost done. We'll be okay. I'm just gonna finish.
Thank you.
Order with the pedestrian signal on South Street still flashing yellow after 2 months, having an estimated repair cost of $11,000, and DPW uses capital stabilization funds to fix the light to communicate updates to seniors residing in Elmwood Towers.
For the finance.
Thank you. Motion's made to refer to finance. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item D is filed by Councilor Bartley that the City of Holyoke amends any charter ordinance, and other regulations relative to its tax collector and combines the office with its city treasurer, so as long as a charter change to appoint rather than elect Holyoke city treasurer is approved by the legislature and Holyoke voters.
Madam Chair, Kevin and Linda are added on there, because really Linda's idea, I just memorialized it.
Thank you.
Charter and rules.
Kevin and Linda.
You're welcome, Linda.
Okay. Send to charter and rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? That looks like it's it.
Oh,
Motion to adjourn, Madam President?
Ah, I beat you, Jenny.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a good night.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night, everybody.
Good night.